Yeah, welcome to Point to Point channel. So today I will discuss about this JAX-RS concept. So what exactly JAX-RS and does Spring Framework really implements this JAX-RS specification? So I'm going to discuss all these concepts. So sorry. So basically, what is JAX-RS in the sense? So JAX-RS stands for Java API for RESTful Web Services. So, I mean, in the Java EE specification, I mean, so they have given so many, what you say, specifications like JAX-RS, JAX-WS, JPA, JDBC API. So like that, they have given so many specifications, and so many vendors have started giving their own implementation for those specifications, right? So why they used to give this kind of specifications, I mean, so to maintain a commonality. So otherwise each vendor will come up with his own implementation, right? So then the clients, whoever using that vendor specific implementation, in future if they want to switch to some other vendor, again they need to develop the code again from scratch. So right, so their code may not be helpful while switching from one vendor to another vendor, right? So to avoid all these problems, now I mean, what you say? So Java EE framework, I mean, they have come up with these kind of specifications, okay, so that all vendors needs to follow the same, what you say, same specification, so that happily clients, whoever opt for vendor one, okay, they can happily switch to vendor two or vendor three or vendor four, whatever it may be. So I mean, so without doing any code changes, happily the same code will work. Why? Because I mean, already they have implemented that specification, right? So that's the beauty of implementing a proper specification, right? So now, I mean, in line to that, I mean, they have given this JAX-RS Java API for RESTful web services. Okay, so for the SOAP, they have given JAX-WS, that is Java API for XML-based web services. So obviously, so that's the specification related to the SOAP-based web services. So now this is a specification for RESTful web services. Okay, so now. Um, so what is the specification? Specification in the sense internally what it contains. So specification in the sense, obviously there won't be any kind of implementation. Hardly it consists of few interfaces and annotations. Okay, so now whoever wants to implement that particular specification, so they are supposed to give the implementation for those interfaces or I mean, so what exactly they do. um, for example, if anyone files the request, so these people needs to parse that request, that marshalling operation, unmarshalling the operations, okay, and what you say, um, so redirecting that particular request to the right controller handler method. So all these activities needs to be done by that what you say, vendor who implements this JAX-RS specification, right? So uh, now I mean, the latest version of JAX-RS is currently 2.0. Okay, so this is as part of this Java E7 platform. Okay, so now who are the popular vendors who has given the implementation for this JAX-RS specification in the market? Okay, so these guys, I mean, Jesse, RESTeasy, RESTlet, Apache CXF. Okay, so out of these four implementations, okay, the first two, that is Jersey and RESTeasy, are the most popular, what you say, vendors who has given the implementation. So then the third priority goes to RESTlet and the fourth priority goes to Apache CXF, right? So um, what to say, in most of the projects, okay, I mean, I mean, they have opted this Jersey framework predominantly. Then few percentage of the projects, I mean, have used this REST easy framework also, right? So as I said, I mean, these libraries take care of this parsing request, calling the right methods, okay, and marshalling the result values. for example, when anyone files the request, obviously that request body needs to be converted to what you say, that JSON needs to be converted to the Java object, and again whenever you are returning that Java object will be converted to JSON, right? So all these operations will be taken care by your vendor who implements the JAX-RS. Okay, so these are the what you say, the key annotations of JAX-RS, you know. So for example, at the rate path, okay, at the rate path, I mean on top of class, I mean we used to add this annotation at the rate path. Okay, so if anyone wants to find the request, okay, just he needs to append this particular path to the context path. So this is the at the rate path. Similarly, at the rate path param, at the rate path param, you know, it's kind of a so for example, slash products slash one, so that slash one is nothing but a path param. Okay, so that's a path param. So at the rate get, post, put, head, delete option, so all these annotations, okay, given by the JAX-RS specification, at the rate get, at the rate post, or something like that. Okay, similarly form param, at the rate form param, and query param, at the rate query param, you know, I mean you used to pass question mark name is equal to Ajay or something like that. So that's a query parameter. So query parameter is kind of an optional one, but whereas path parameter is a mandatory. You are supposed to pass the value within that URI. Whereas the query parameter is kind of a, I mean, optional parameter kind of thing. Okay. So this is header param. Okay. So suppose if you want to capture the values which are passed as part of your headers. Okay, so then I mean that you can pull those values with the help of at the rate header param. Okay. Uh, Similarly for cookies also at the rate cookie param. Okay. So I mean now if you use either Jersey or REST-easy or RESTlet or whatever it may be, so everywhere you will find the same annotations, right? So that's the beauty of JAX-RS specification. Okay, now coming to our topic. So you know, right now nowadays Spring framework is a quite popular framework. Everyone will started using Spring framework, right? So now this Spring framework is kind of a full framework which has come as an alternative to this Java enterprise applications, right? So whatever we do with the Java EE framework, everything you can do with even Spring framework also. Like that, Spring has given n number of modules for n number of requirements like Spring AOP module, ORM module, MVC module, like that. So many modules are there. Now, out of those many modules, okay, what the Spring framework has done, you know, I mean, within the Spring MVC module, so they have given their own implementation for the RESTful web services. Okay, they haven't what you say, implemented the specification given by the JAX-RS. Okay, that this is the important point, you know. So the REST capabilities are provided by the Spring MVC module itself. Okay, so they have given their own annotations, their own way of handling the request, their own way of marshalling, unmarshalling the request. So they haven't what you say, implemented the JAX-RS specification. Okay, so now you see it is not the JAX-RS implement, can be seen as a Spring alternative to the JAX-RS standard. So I mean, you know, I mean, in most of the projects, I mean, we are using the what you say, REST framework, which is coming along with the Spring framework. I mean, so what you say? So I mean, slowly, what you say, in most of the projects, clients are what you say, I mean, they are happy with the Spring framework's REST implementation also. Okay, so here if you see, I will show you one example. So for example, if you take one example, so this is the controller which is following the JAX-RS API specification. So here if you see at the rate path slash greetings. Okay, so as I said, I mean, we need to give this at the rate path on top of this class name. So now whenever you file a request with the URI, so that URI consists of context path something something blah 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 slash this greetings, right? So and again, you may have a number of handler methods within this controller, right? So then if at all you want to invoke this particular method like greeting method, then what you need to file a request something blah 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 slash greetings slash name. Okay, like that, then only the flow will come here, then internally it will reach to this particular method, right? So this is the at the rate path. Of course, I mean, this is a get request, so obviously we need to give at the rate get. And I mean, you are producing a plain text in the form of response, so obviously we need to give at the rate produces. Okay, so and this is the at the rate path param, right? So that path param is nothing but this name. What here in here you can pass any name. Okay, you can pass any ABC, XYZ or whatever. So this is the path param. Okay, and finally you are returning the response in the form of this HTTP response. So this is the high level what to say um, what you say explanation about this JAX-RS. Now the same example with Spring MVC. So as I said, Spring has given its own implementation in the Spring MVC module, right, for the RESTful web services. So now if you see, since they have given their own implementation, now obviously they don't follow the JAX-RS specification API, right? So here in the place of at the rate path, now you see earlier at the rate path, now so they have given their own implementation like with the with at the rate request mapping. See, at the rate request mapping. Now in order to identify this one as a controller, so they have given at the rate rest controller also. Okay, and similarly here if you see internal path also for slash a name at the rate request mapping and method is equal to request method dot get. Of course this was in the some a bit older versions. Now in the new versions straight away Spring Framework has given one more annotation, that is at the rate get mapping. Okay, at the rate get mapping, instead of giving this lengthy convention at the rate request mapping method is equal to request method dot get, straight away they have given at the rate get mapping. Okay, now within that see produce is equal to media type dot text underscore plain underscore value. Now whereas in the JAX-RS specification we have exclusive annotation for produces at the rate produces, but here you see I mean within this brackets this is one kind of attribute produces is equal to something something, right? So now so there for I mean at the rate path param they have followed, I mean in the case of JAX-RS specification. Now here if you see at the rate path variable, so whatever you pass for this particular name, right, so that will be captured over here. So here this is at the rate path variable. Now there this is a HTTP response. Now here this is a response entity. So overall what I want to say here is, I mean, the way Spring Framework has given the implementation for the RESTful web services is entirely different than the JAX-RS specification. So they have come up with their own implementation. This is what I'm trying to highlight. Okay, so this is high level comparison, right? So in the JAX-RS specification, see in the right side at the rate path of something some path. So for the same thing here, I mean in the Spring has given at the rate request mapping internally path is equal to something something. Okay, so similarly, right side, at the rate get, at the rate post, at the rate delete, like that, they have given the what do you say annotations. Now, uh, left side in the Spring side, I mean, as per the latest versions, straight away they have given at the rate get mapping, at the rate post mapping, at the rate delete mapping, like that. So whatever I'm showing in this slide is a bit of older way of convention, like with at the rate request mapping within the brackets, method is equal to request method dot post. Okay, so similarly here at the rate path param, as I shown just now, here at the rate path variable. Okay, here right side JAX-RS used to give at the rate query param. Now Spring Framework has given at the rate request param. Okay, so I mean at the rate produces I mean to ident I mean to specify the what do you say return response type, whatever response type, I mean, so I'm returning a JSON response, I'm returning XML response. So for that JAX-RS used to give at the rate produces. Here Spring Framework used to give something like this request param. Within that produces is kind of an attribute, it is something application slash JSON. Similarly at the rate consumes also. So if you want to file a post request, you obviously will pass some payload, right? Request payload. So that will be that you can pass either in XML or JSON. So that one, what you say, JAX-RS has given at the rate consumes. So I'm ready to consume the response within this so and so format, JSON. So here Spring Framework has given the same representation in the form of request mapping. Consumes is equal to something something, right? So this one, right? So now the final point, can we use the Spring Boot with Jersey? So here the question arises. Okay, Spring Framework has given their own implementation instead of following the JAX-RS specification, but still I want to use both. I want to use the Spring Framework and as well as the any one of the vendor who has given the proper implementation to the JAX-RS specification. So that means, in other words, I want to use Spring with Jersey or Spring with REST easy or Spring with RESTlet. So then in that case, I will get the benefits out of all Spring Framework. What you say? Um, all Spring Framework benefits, so such as what is it, dependency injection or whatever. There are so many benefits. So that in that case, I will get the benefits out of Spring Framework and as well as this JAX-RS proper implementation also, right? So in for that case, so whoever needs such kind of requirements, so for that Spring Boot has given one special starter package. Okay, so starter dependency. So that dependency is known as Spring Boot Starter JC. Okay, so for example, if you follow this one, okay, Spring Boot Starter JC. Okay, so then internally, it will download the Jersey related jars. So then you are supposed to write RESTful web service as per the JAX-RS specification only. Of course, then you will get the benefit of Spring Framework also, such as dependency injection or other benefits, right? Sorry. So um, yeah, so this particular starter works well with the Jesse 2.x, right? So yeah, this is the high level explanation about the JAX-RS specification and like what you say, the Spring frameworks, what you say, implementation of RESTful web services. So all these points. So I hope you like my video. If you really like my video, please like it and share it and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.